So today we're going to look at why does the narcissist do what they do. We're really going to do a deep dive and we're going to look into their brain so that we can really understand from a scientific perspective what is going on inside the narcissist brain. And you've probably been asking that yourself when you've been in the relationship, like what is going on? Why are they behaving in that way? Why are they doing what they're doing? So in recent years, there is a lot more research on narcissists than there used to be, which is fantastic, right? Especially to create some sanity for us. It's really important to actually look at is there a real issue, because these are people that are functioning in the world. So we can sometimes wonder, is the issue us? So we're really going to break it down and you're going to know by the end of today that it's really not you, and you'll feel a lot more relieved. And I think you'll probably even find this quite healing. So we're going to look at what the scientist is seeing inside the brain of a narcissist. They've actually done MRIs and CT scans to actually look at the activity and how the brain of a narcissist functions in comparison to a normal person. So people who suffer with narcissism or narcissistic personality disorder have structural abnormalities in the region of the brain, and it's all linked to empathy. Now, I know it's not a surprise for you, right? It's obvious that you must know already from your experience that you could have actually even told the scientists that actually there is an issue in the brain. There seems to be something wrong where they can't seem to they don't have empathy. They don't really, or there is something wrong. You might not know exactly what it's connected to, but you'll have an idea that there is something wrong with the brain of the narcissist. The way they behave, it's so confusing. They have all these rants and they act normal afterwards. That's not normal, right? They're ranting and raving, and then the next day they can be absolutely normal, or they might even physically abuse you, and then afterwards they're acting normal and apologizing or just pretending that everything's okay again, as if nothing even happened. Now, the problem is that the way the narcissists behave is so disturbing. It's so dehumanizing. It's so unexpected and unnecessary and unjust and all the rest of it that we find it such a shock and we can't actually comprehend what they're actually doing to us. So we will also find it a relief when they're out of that and are acting normal again, and we feel like, they're acting normal again, and then we're kind of relieved as well. So we're living in this yo-yo of where we're seeing this unusual, incredibly wrong behavior, and then we're all acting as if, okay, that rant's over and now the person's gone back to normal again. And this is what causes so much confusion when we're in a toxic relationship, is that instability, not knowing what to expect, always walking on eggshells. They're behaving in this way and we can't make sense of it. And that's where we get the cognitive dissonance ourselves, and it, being with the narcissist actually impacts our brain as well. So we'll look at that at a later stage. So researchers have found that people with this disorder can't understand how you feel, but can actually take on board what you're saying and what you're doing on an intellectual basis. So for instance, if you were to say, I really needed someone to support me, and you're in that loving bombing phase, and you're telling this person, I've always wanted to feel really loved, I've always wanted to travel, I've always wanted, whatever it is that you've told them, they can understand that on a logical, intellectual level, but they can't understand why you would want that on a level of understanding you on a feeling level, right? So hence why they can tell you everything you need to hear so that they can get you trapped into the relationship, and then they turn into some other person, like a monster. A lot of my clients say, like, you know, this person has turned into a monster. So it really does explain narcissism, how they can use emotions, your vulnerabilities, your wants, your emotional needs, and use it to control you. That's the reason why narcissists can control you through emotions, because they can't connect to you through emotions. So it's okay for them to use your emotions as a key way of controlling you. So they can't comprehend why you feel so hurt, right? And that's the reason why, you know, sometimes the narcissist will wonder, why are you exposing the narcissist? Will feel like you are victimizing the narcissist because you're exposing them. They cannot understand why you feel so upset. It's really crazy, I know, especially for yourself, who's an empath. They don't see the abuse as an issue. You know, that's why because they have no empathy. They, you know, the way they are with you. And this is the defining feature. That is the main reason what makes a narcissist, and the defects in the brain. So the root cause of the brain or abnormalities are probably due to childhood. You know, they've had some trauma that has actually damaged their brain when they're very, very young. So hence why you feel like sometimes the narcissist is in an adult body, but they're behaving like a 5-year-old or a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, where they're so immature with what they're doing and saying, but they're actually in a small child's brain is being used, but which hasn't developed, but they're in an adult body. So, but if you get a psychopath, normally that abnormality has happened before they're born. So it's during the pregnancy, where they have the abnormality in the brain. So look, studies have shown that the narcissist brain regions that are affected, there's quite a few. There's the anterior insula, there's the prefrontal cortex, there's the hippocampus, there's the amygdala, and the cerebral cortex. So there's a lot to look at in terms of the issues that a narcissist has in their brain. So let's look at it, right? So the anterior insula, this is a left anterior insula, a region of the brain, which is thought to be linked with cognitive functioning, which basically means your thinking part of the brain, your ability to think things through, and the regulation of emotions. So this part of the brain is obviously tied into compassion and empathy as well. So if you break that down, what we're saying is that they can't use their logical thinking part of the brain as well as understanding emotions, right? And being able to regulate their own emotions. So hence why they can see someone is upset, but they can't use their thinking part of the brain to actually regulate their own emotions. Yeah, because that part of the brain is defective. So it enables people, you know, normally if you have this functioning, you can think and then regulate your emotions based on what somebody else is saying, right? So it could be that, you know, I can see that you're really upset, so I'd think twice, and I'd use my thinking part of the brain to actually regulate my own emotions and sort of just calm down and say, okay, they're really upset. I will leave it. They're not able to do that. So hence why you could be in an argument with a narcissist and they will go on and on and on and on, and then bring it back up and go on and on. And you just feel badgered, and you just like, why are they doing this? You know, there's no need for it. You know, they're just really unable to see how much this is impacting you, and they're just not willing to actually stop. And that is so hurtful as well. So the key role here is that they don't have the awareness of their emotions and the ability to reflect on their emotional responses to somebody else, right? So then they can attune or change their way in communicating with somebody. So basically what we're saying, they don't have any empathy for anyone else. They don't have the compassion, the care. They don't have the ability to take on board your needs, your emotional needs especially. They don't have this ability to think, I want to be of service to other people. I want to contribute to somebody else's life. I want to inspire other people. They have none of that. All it is for them is like, what can I get from somebody else? This is something that the narcissist can never feel is, how are you feeling? How can I give to somebody else so that they can feel better? Yeah, they don't have that part of the brain that's available to allow that to happen. So hence why a narcissist is always going to look at relationships then in a way of, what can I get? How can I get something from this person? And never ever are they going to be able to look at the relationship in a way of, how can I contribute? How can we work together to build something? No, it's not. It's not about we for the narcissist. It's all about them for the narcissist. They can't contribute. They can't give. That's the thing. In a normal relationship, you're looking at 50-50, give and take. That is a healthy, normal relationship. They are not able to do that. They're not able to be in a healthy relationship, that means, no matter what you do. So you have to understand what happens if someone doesn't have empathy, and the importance of empathy in everyday life. When you're in a relationship with someone who has no empathy, it will impact you every day of your life. It will come out in every single interaction with you, be it even when, you're just asking them to put the bins out, or, the trash out, or the ability for them to control themselves so they don't harm you. Yeah, just like you control yourself because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. You don't want to hurt somebody purposely. They don't have that ability to they don't care whether they harm you or not, basically, because they have no empathy. So, and also, have you ever noticed that the narcissist is sometimes so shocked, like, why are you not allowing me to abuse you? And they're just like, how could you not allow me to abuse you? They just don't understand, and they call you oversensitive. They think that you're overreacting, you're being a drama queen or a drama king. They're calling you, sensitive, especially if you're a man, they might call you sensitive, and that you're a baby for crying, that happens with women as well. So they don't have empathy. That's the reason why they're doing that. Because they don't have empathy that would allow them to see how their actions, how their words are impacting you. They just don't have that. So it doesn't matter what you do or don't do. The narcissist cannot feel genuine compassion, understanding, love, loyalty for you, because these are all feelings that you have for somebody because you want them to feel good. You care about them. So you want to give something to someone that you love. They don't have that. They won't be there for you to be heard. You don't feel heard in a narcissistic relationship. They won't be there for you to be understood. They're not interested. They just want to take on board the information so that they can use it against you at a later stage, because they don't have empathy. They won't meet your needs. It's all very superficial. They can't meet your needs emotionally because they don't have that ability to actually connect with you in that way. So the narcissistic people not with narcissism, they have less grey matter in these regions of the brain. So doesn't matter. So the narcissist shows they have no ability to feel true, genuine empathy for you. That's how I'm just summarizing that part of the brain. Hence, your needs don't matter to the narcissist. That is missing from the narcissist. And you can be this incredible, amazing human being that you are, right? And you could be the best version of yourself, and they will knock you down because they have no empathy for you. They have no understanding for you. They can't be in a relationship with you because it's not give and take. You know, it's not 50-50. They can't be there for you. You know, they're just, you know, they're on their own on this one, and they're using you to meet their needs, and your needs don't matter. So, right, so we're going to look at another area of the brain called the hippocampus. Now, I like the hippocampus, and the way I really, you know, understand it is like, imagine you're going to university and you're going on campus, right? So the hippocampus is all about learning and developing new memories and learning. It's like your ability to learn something new. It's like the short-term memory part of the brain. Basically, narcissists because they live in an illusion. Their disorder prevents them from accessing real memories. So this part of the brain again is damaged. Hence why they can view things you know, from the past, and even with the present, they can be delusional. They can be, you know, there's so much grandiosity that, you know, they can, so much so that they can rewrite history. They can make up stories. They can lie so easily with such outrageous stories as well, and quite easily to just do whatever they need to do to survive. So they have filtered their past, yeah, and they will, because of that, they have an amazing, incredible ability to never take blame for the abuse that they do to you. I mean, it's absolutely incredible how a narcissist can abuse you at the same time as blame you. It's like they've got two guns going off, abuse and blaming you at the same time. It's incredible to actually get your head round when you can slow it down and actually really hear what they're saying to you. You can actually see that they are blaming you and abusing you at the same time. Hence why the psychological abuse is horrendous with a narcissist. So they have the inability to accept any blame for what they do. And obviously there's continuous stress that's due to, that is due to in their brain, you know, and it damages the brain cells in the hippocampus, and it sort of just gradually shrinks in size. So as they get older, they can come up with a lot more stories as they get older, and a lot more changing history, and their actual personality disorder gets worse over time, because the brain struggles over time. All the areas sort of degrade and get smaller or bigger depending on the type, the place of the brain. Excuse me. Sorry. So another way the trauma bond is created with us, and why we can end up gaslighting ourselves, because we've kind of got drawn into the illusion that the narcissist has created, because they change memories, and unfortunately they do impact our hippocampus as well. So we end up wanting the stories, etc., to be true, and the illusion that the narcissist has created to be true, because we've invested so much into the relationship. You know, all your hopes and your dreams are in this relationship. It's understandable that you would want this relationship to work, and that why you stay so long, and why it's so easy to fall into a trauma bond. But unfortunately, their brain, that part of the brain is defective. It's not as active, and it's not, you know, hence why they can find it so easy to lie. The other, and live in a fake world, you know. The other part of the brain that is impacted is the amygdala. And this is a key role in processing our emotions. So it's where we feel emotions like fear, guilt, shame, envy, you know. And the narcissist tends to have this part of the brain, is also a bit bigger. But unfortunately, what they do is they use the scapegoat. That's why they need a scapegoat. And usually if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you will become the scapegoat. You are the person they project all their shame, their guilt, their onto. And it's so fast. Like I was saying, they will literally abuse you and shame you and guilt you at the same time. They want you to take the blame for everything, because they have no ability to actually process these emotions. It's ineffective. They don't know how to process these emotions. Remember, it's like they're a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old in an adult's body. They aren't able to deal with this level of guilt, so they just blame everybody else. So also remember, they don't have a conscience because they don't have any empathy. So they can go around blaming you continuously because they don't have an empathy. And a lot of people say they are soulless. Sometimes people can see that they are soulless when you look in their eyes. They just feel soulless, like they've got nothing there. They're just dead. There's no sparkle in their eyes or anything. So if people with narcissism, they do not feel the guilt or shame, because they kind of just live in this illusion. So the hippocampus is living in an illusion. And what they do is then they just project on to you the guilt and shame over and over again. So hence why they put you into this illusion as well. So they make up excuses. They can make up like the most ridiculous excuses. No, even when they're being caught out, it's incredible. So that's that part of the brain that's not functioning properly. And unfortunately, the lies can get bigger and bigger over time because the hippocampus is getting smaller and smaller. Okay, so the next part of the brain that's defected for the narcissist is the cerebral cortex. Now, this is the outermost part of the brain, right? And those people that suffer from narcissism, they exhibit structural abnormalities in that part of the brain. So it's like the outside part of the brain, which again is necessary for processing and creating compassion, empathy, right? There's a study that's been published in the Journal of Psychiatric Research that's shown that people with narcissism have unusual cerebral cortex thinness, and they see that this area is responsible again for empathy. I know it's not a surprise for you, right? And it just shows what you've been through, that they've abused you so much and they have no ability to take on board what they have done, any empathy for what you have been through. If anything, they go around trying to convince people that you're the problem because they have no empathy. So, narcissists are concluded they have no empathy, and also that part of the brain, also they've found studies that the level of thinness there is on that part of the brain, the less likely they are to have empathy. So the thinner that part of the brain, the less empathy they have. Remember, narcissism is a scale. We're all narcissistic to some degree because we have a sense of self. But unfortunately, when we're the victim of narcissists, we kind of take on board everything as if it's our fault, and they're telling us that everything is our fault. They're taking and we're constantly giving. So it's kind of like the reason why the relationship is unhealthy and, still a relationship. So There's also another study was done where they've linked the presence of narcissism to increased activity in another part of the cerebral cortex, that helps control impulsive behavior. So that means that there's a high activity level where they're not able to control themselves. Basically they have really poor decision-making process. So hence why they can go off in a rage really quickly. They can do things that are really silly, that could expose them sometimes, but they will do it anyway because they haven't got that ability to control themselves. And that also links with the lack of empathy. They can't take you as a person into consideration, unless they need something from you that will benefit them, And if you think back, I'm really sorry that you've been through what you've been through, but if you think back to the relationship and just think, how long was that love bombing phase, and at what point did it turn? And usually it's when they know that they've got you and they've got what they wanted from you, and then they can start degrading you and demeaning you and dehumanizing you, because they don't need to keep that act up. And sometimes people can do it for years, and sometimes it's not that long, because they lose patience and stuff. So research has included that as a method of measuring brain activity using this diffusion tensor imaging. It actually measures the amount of connected activity between the different parts of the brain area. Now, I don't think you'll be surprised about this either. People with a higher level of narcissism showed that there was lower levels of connective activity between the certain parts of the brain, including the prefrontal cortex and other parts of the brain. And this is basically, associated with the ability to think positively about yourself, have a high level of self-esteem, etc. And I think deep down, this narcissist doesn't have a high level of self-esteem. So low activity in different areas could be the reason why narcissists repeatedly need validation, right? It's like a compulsion that's built in where they need to seek out affirmations and adoration and supply from other people. It's literally consistent with the theories that these people are egotistical and they're disconnected from their true, authentic self. And if you think back to what you were like before you met the narcissist, you probably had a driver. You wanted to fulfill your life and have purpose and meaning. There's other studies that have been completed now that show that, that prove that narcissism is a biological and neurological disease of the brain. So if you've been in a toxic relationship, you will know this is true. That there is really something wrong with this person. And researchers have suggested that narcissism might be the core issue that's in psychotherapy, or psychopathy. As a victim, this is the core to not only the narcissist being ill, but also all the people that are being victimized because of narcissistic relationships. These people have an inability to form genuine relationships. They aren't able to process and think about others. They're unable to feel the anxiety or the remorse for other people. They are impulsive. They don't evaluate what they're going to do on another human being, or what they have done to another human being that could potentially inhibit people from harming another person. They don't have that. The narcissist is mentally ill. They are brain damaged, trauma victims who are incapable of being in a human, healthy relationship. You know, being in a narcissistic relationship will ultimately lead to trauma for you. It's inevitable. You can be the best person in the world, it will happen to you. There'll be emotional pain. The impact will be huge on you, even if you are strong. The impact on the victim's brain over time is big. It's huge. And the narcissists destroy people and leave them so they're beyond help, beyond reason, beyond any rules of humanity, what they would do, because they have no empathy or limited empathy. And that is the reality. You know, we should start seeing these people as though they have a real mental illness and they have a brain that's damaged. You know, they're magical, they're fantastical, they make up stories, they're compulsive, they're, you know, they have no conscience, they aren't capable of any of that. They cannot change, but they will harm people around them. So we have to accept that they are who they are. They are ill, you know, and we have to stop focusing on them and start focusing on you so that you can heal yourself again and feel worthy of the life that you truly deserve before you met this narcissist. Truly worthy of experiencing love, having your needs met, being in a normal, healthy relationship, you know, and no more suffering of the life. You know, you've got to get your brain and think, okay, that was a mentally ill person. I need to heal my brain now so I can move forward. And we have to ask ourselves, you know, why did I come into this relationship? And how can I heal? You know, I need to heal something. And normally we have shared this fantasy of this relationship and we have to heal from the loss of that. You know, there's a lot of grieving to do because you have to grieve that you've lost this illusion of a person, you've lost this illusion of a vision of how you're going to live your life, and it's everything is probably taken from you. And it's about not accepting that you couldn't have done any better, you couldn't have been any better, you couldn't have done any more, because this is a biological, spiritual, neurological, mental, physiological disorder that makes it impossible to love this person fully and to be loved. Yeah. Remember, they were never allowing you to love them either, because they don't get that. They have no empathy. You know, they just need you to give them stuff, you know, so that they can feel better about themselves. So for all of you who loved a narcissist or think about what they did, or feel like you can't live without them because you feel they're your soulmate, or I don't know, you know, how you felt. I just want you to know that yes, it is unfair, it's cruel, it's unjust, it was wrong what they did to you. It's a sickness, it's an illness, it's really awful. And there's no end they won't go to play games, the mind games. But the longer we hold on to something that's not real, the sicker we can become because of the impact it has on our brain. And the only chance of peace and sanity for you is to let them go, accept them, that they are ill, and start your own healing process. If you want to explore the impact on your brain, then please do look in the resources section and download my free masterclass. We have to turn inwards. We have to look at ourselves and start healing and connect with your own inner power, your own inner knowing. Focus on yourself so you can shine your light bright again like you used to, right? Instead of aligning with a narcissist, you want to align with your own inner potential, your real, true self, your true, authentic self, and heal your brain so that you can really get back your brain, your ability to think again, because you have so much potential. You can learn from this, you can heal from this, you can do it so that you can have a huge life moving forward. And it is 100% possible for you to heal yourself. And remember, never ever give up on your dreams, and never ever give up on self-love, Because honestly, self-love is the greatest healer. You wanted love. That was your key thing that you wanted from the narcissist. You need to cultivate a practice of self-love within yourself. So more understanding, more compassion, more love, all the things that you didn't get from the narcissist towards yourself for what you've been through, so that you can then start to heal. Because honestly, love is the greatest healer. So sending you so much love till next time. And if you're looking for healing, please do download the free masterclass now.